it turns very, it's very dry. So, and that's just about to be fixed soon. Oh, it's feeling really good now. Just take a little bit of breaking in and get that lube going through the core and also around the pieces. Hello everybody, this is going to be a tutorial on how to lube the core of your Dayan 4x4. It is also a special service at my store under the 4x4 section, and I will lube your Dayan 4x4 for $2.50. I think it's worth it for my time and then for your good times. Well, when you first get it, like if it's not lubed, it turns very dry. So, and that's just about to be fixed soon. Can't do finger tricks that well. Kind of feels like a Rubik's Revenge. Keeper. Alright, so let's begin. The suggested lube that I use is my personal lube, Lube. You can use Lubix also. It's kind of the same thing. This one is a medium viscosity silicone, which I think it works better for the larger cubes, in my opinion. Or you can use CRC, Jigaloo, Traxxas oil. It all works. So let's go. I'm going to begin by taking this apart and unscrewing it and whatever. So I start by taking out a corner piece. Usually what comes out with it is one of the edges, which is okay. So I'm going to separate it by the cubies, and I'm going to just take it apart. And the first way to unscrew it is by the corners here. Alright, so I got the 3x3 core piece and the one corner that doesn't move, I guess, or hemisphere. So I'm going to take it apart. So before taking out the last cap or the last screw, make sure to look at your tension, see where it's at. So when you assemble it again, try to have it in the same exact spot. If you want it a little bit looser, then just maybe a quarter turn or half turn on that screw, or the other way. So should work just fine. Alright, so there we go. It's all disassembled. Now it's time to get to the lubing. The first place I'm going to lube is just on the inside here, on these three sides. So I'm going to run it along here. Alright, it's got that. Now I'm going to use a sock. A clean sock, because you don't want it to stink. I don't like using paper or paper towels, toilet paper, because it leaves behind some debris, so you don't want that. So I'm just gonna kind of rub it in a little bit there. That way when you start moving around, it doesn't get kind of sticky. There we go. So it's nice and worked in there. Now I'm going to lube the core, lube the screws. Now if you've all haven't seen it yet, go check out Rubik's Cube's tutorial on how to lube the core. It's very helpful, and I will be doing it to this cube also. So I'm going to do it above the washer and below the washer, just a little bit, and then right below the spring here, next to the screw head. Then I'm going to place it in her, and it should be all set. Now when you start screwing the pieces back in, you might want to check if your screw and core are lined up nicely and going straight, because you don't want it going in at an angle to where it's going to strip the core and make your layers uneven, and also strip the core and it will fall apart eventually. So just a heads up. So I got my center pieces screwed in, and the tensions are roughly the same, maybe just slightly looser. So the next place I'm going to lube is just underneath the pieces, right in here. Just a tiny bit there, on the other pieces, tiny bit there. Not a whole lot, because you don't want it to stick. Just got that right there. So after doing that, I'm going to slide a few pieces in here. This might be a little challenge, I guess. Okay, I'm going to get the corner piece. Just got those ones. So after I get those pieces in, I'm going to lube some more. I'm going to lube just a little bit around here, around those pieces. Just a little bit inside there. I'm not going to smooth it out with a sock. I don't think it's needed for this part. So I got those ones. Now, after all that lubing, I recommend not to lube it anymore this deep in the core, because doing it anymore will make it actually stick. And that happens with bigger cubes, I've noticed. So I'm going to finish assembling. Trying to do just like 3x30. Ah, there we go. Ooh, tight. Alright, I'm going to turn these a little bit, kind of work in the loop. Feel improvements already. Might still seem a little bit rough, but that's just because it's small parts. Alright, so I got that done. Now, what I'm going to do next is I have these shells right here. Now, where I'm going to lube them, I'm going to just do the inside for right now. I'm going to go around the perimeter, kind of close to the outside. Not a whole lot of lube. So, there we go. Don't really need to do the centers there, because it doesn't move. Nothing slides there. So, I'm only going to do this to 4 of them, because once again, you don't need a whole lot of lube or it's going to stick. So it's going to lube there. Alright, got those 4 done. Now, I'm going to place it in here, right where it needs to go, right on the corner pieces. And you'll notice that there's some 3 bumps here, and it's little connectors, and that's so it stays in place and doesn't move. You want to put them in place, make sure they're in place, hold it down, and screw it in, and it goes all the way. Don't screw too hard now, because you'll strip it and ruin it. Ah, isn't it beautiful? I like it. You can see it just cuts a little bit. Kind of. But yeah, you can feel the lube in there now. So, next place I'm going to lube is the outer shell. Now I'm only going to do 2 of the shells for now. I'm going to kind of put it on a little bit thicker. A little bit thicker there. You can kind of see it. So, opposite side. Alright. Oh, don't roll around. Gonna put on the sock again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub it in all over it. It's nice and covered. Otherwise it will stick. So it's kind of rubbed in there. Nice and shiny. Alright, there we go. Now my fingers are all lit. Okay, so next comes assembling. So this can be a little tricky, so I'm going to do the centerpieces. Put them in the holes there. Now what ends up happening, it looks like junk like this. Don't be stressed by that. Just keep on putting centers in. I'm just going to put them all in. Because what happens once you get them all in, you got these little little spring debobbies on here, on the centerpieces, and that'll, once you get them all in there, they'll push against each other, and then they can move freely. Alright, so there we go. Got all the centerpieces in. Now it still looks like junk, but what I'm going to do is have them all in there. And once they're all in there, they kind of spring into place for the most part. So you can kind of move them. But once we get more assembled, it'll be much easier. So I'm going to put these pieces in here. I'm not going to loop any of these yet. It will come later. Got that one. Okay, so the next place I'm going to lube is just around some of the radius here. So I'm going to go like this. I don't want to get too close to the edge, or otherwise you're going to be touching the lube on your fingers when you turn it. So just a little bit around there. Dun, 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 dun. A little too high. Alright, so that's all that's really needed for lubing. Now I'm going to finish assembling it. The last few pieces. corners first and edges last. Alright, there we have it. Let's give it a turn. Oh, it's feeling really good now. Just take a little bit of breaking in and get that lube going through the core and also around the pieces. Might be a little bit tight, but I can work with that later. So it'll all get worked in there eventually. So that concludes my tutorial on how to lube the Dayan 4x4. And remember, like Lubic says, lube the core. That's where all your friction is going. So, and that's how I recommend lubing it.